rich the fields were.
Oppenheimer saw an opportunity and seized it. The German landowners, afraid of expropriation as World War I came to an end, agreed to merge their companies with his. Because both British investors and American financier J.P. Morgan had stock in his venture, Oppenheimer called his company the Anglo-American Corporation. Within a few years, it was clear that he had landed a supply of diamonds to rival even the mines owned by De Beers.
Coming into the 1920s, Ernest Oppenheimer then said to De Beers, who controlled, for the most part, the diamond syndicate, diamond cartel, he said to them, listen, I am going to flood the world market unless you make me chairman of the company. And in 1929, he was made chairman of De Beers. That is the basis of the Oppenheimer fortune.
Oppenheimer's mine, a private estate 3 times the size of New Jersey, became an exclusive territory known as the Forbidden Zone. It was the bedrock of the worldwide De Beers diamond empire, which the Oppenheimers began to build.
The true genius of diamonds came through the Oppenheimer family, and came even with Harry Oppenheimer, who's running it today, where they realized that diamonds, as originally conceived, coming from only 3 or 4 mines, was wrong. That diamonds existed everywhere in the world. Everywhere where there's carbon, which is everywhere, you find diamonds.
Most every famous diamond in the world is represented in this case. They are worth many millions of dollars and trails of blood.
While the public continued to imagine that diamonds were rare and romantic, De Beers was mining enormous quantities. Ernest Oppenheimer saw that more huge finds might force prices to go plummeting downwards. In 1930, a De Beers mining engineer warned, the diamond market is dependent for its smooth function on the maintenance of the illusion in the minds of the general public that the diamond is a rare and valuable stone. A De Beers director agreed. For goodness sake, keep out of the newspapers and Parliament the quantity of diamonds that can be produced and put on the market. But as the colonies developed, diamonds began turning up all over Africa. Local people knew where to find them. Eddie Fortune is one of the small claim miners in South Africa.
In the year 1931, in the morning I used to leave Chimney 3 o'clock by bicycle, and then I used to ride about 31 miles. I had a little shack out in the diggings, and I used to work there. I didn't have trouble selling diamonds because my quality was very good. There was very big demand. But I never found a big diamond. The biggest I found was a 38 carat. But small diamonds, the medium sizes, 10s, 12s, 15s, plenty of them.
To keep control, De Beers had to prevent the little mines from putting too many diamonds on the market. The simplest answer was to buy them up.
Certain companies came and they bought out the small diggers, you see. That's how they developed and became a big company. De Beers bought out every.
But alluvial diamonds, washed along the riverbanks, were much more difficult to control. A film inspired by De Beers in the 1950s portrayed its adventurous young traders setting up buying offices in the jungle.
These young graduates, Oxford graduates, basically a buying office was them, a bunch of porters with food on their head and a cash box on their head, and they'd put a box down the middle of a clearing, and they'd start buying diamonds in the local currency. So they'd ship in all these guys to do this, to prevent smuggling.
There is always a competition between the Anglo-American De Beers group and other dealers all over the world for a bigger slice in the world diamond markets. And this did not suit Anglo-American. They wanted the whole trade for themselves.
Fuad Kamil claims he contracted to work as a detective for the cartel in the 1950s and 60s, investigating unlicensed diamond dealing and smuggling from its mines.
Diamonds going out of Sierra Leone and other African diamond markets were going to what Anglo-American described as black markets. That is Antwerp, Amsterdam, Germany, some parts of the United States, and Israel. Now, these people were labeled black markets by Anglo-American, but in their own countries, they were respectable diamond dealers.
To get information, Kamil says he broke the law and even kidnapped people who fell under suspicion.
And those that had diamonds, I took them as prisoners. I interrogated them, got information from them. I kept them as long as I wanted, week to week, some of them months, and released them when I wanted. There was beatings, there was punishments without food. We did everything we could to extort the information from them. There was a stage where no one dared to pass from there, diamonds or no diamonds. So to put it bluntly, we were a terrorist group. That's what it amounts to.
The cartel denies that Kamil worked for either De Beers or Anglo-American and says his accusations are part of a vendetta against them. By the 1950s, the diamond cartel had amassed enormous power, taking control of diamonds at the source, making deals with colonial powers, building its network mine by mine, country by country.
Of June 1960, this was a city of radiant joy as the people celebrated Congo Independence Day, a happy occasion full of bright hope.
In the 1960s, the rise of African nationalism presented new challenges to the cartel.
The army of the young republic marches by.
The Congo's first democratically elected leader, Patrice Lumumba, was critical of the colonial mining arrangements, and the local Belgian mining companies supported army actions against him.
A new chapter begins in the dark and tragic history of the Congo with
the coup against the leftist leader was backed by the CIA, and it ended in Lumumba's murder.
Colonel Mobutu, taken to Mobutu's headquarters,
Mobutu Sese Seko emerged as the dictator of what became Zaire. At first, he too sounded like an African nationalist.
Mobutu had made what seemed like very left-wing radical statements, talking about the colonial exploiters threatening to nationalize all sorts of foreign mining property. And in flies American businessman Maurice Tempelsman.
Maurice Tempelsman is an independent diamond dealer and a key intermediary for De Beers.
In a matter of, 10 days, Maurice Tempelsman holds consultations in Brussels with key officials, meets with the U.S. Embassy in Kinshasa, has consultations with the U.S. State Department, speaks with Mobutu, flies on to go meet with Mr. Oppenheimer of De Beers in South Africa in what, according to what is certainly shown by a number of declassified U.S. State Department documents, to be an attempt to stitch together a relationship between the De Beers empire and the Mobutu regime. So it's very clear that from the very beginning of the Mobutu regime, Tempelsman had an important role in, to put it most charitably, advising and guiding Mobutu on how to deal with companies like De Beers.
The Oppenheimers, through Tempelsman, arranged to have the exclusive supply of diamonds shipped to their offices in London. De Beers has done well on Zaire's diamonds. So has President Mobutu.